Greetings, gardening friends. Now that spring has sprung, I've started a new series. Well, sort of. What you're about to see is an edited version of a video I did 5 years ago. Even back then, I knew it was long-winded, so I edited it down to just over 4 minutes and added only this and a bit more at the end. Now you can get a real sense of the project without spending almost half an hour. So let's get started. Okay, now if you saw my last video on building a planter, there were certain things that I learned from building that planter and some decisions that I made for this planter. I'm using regular 2x4 stock to handle the frame for the table underneath. In this case, I'm actually using redwood fence boards. It turns out these things are about 30 cents more. And a little tip that I'm going to start with is on the 2x4s. I'm going to actually mark all my 2x4s, including the 16th inch cut, and figure out exactly what I've got so I can actually use the best parts of the 2x4s for the most important parts of the entire table. So let me get them all marked up and I'll show you that. Okay, so here's the first case where I've actually run into a little problem. I've already pre-marked one of the boards. Let me see if I can show you over here though. Here's another board, and you can see that there's some damage to the board, or not so much damage, that's how the wood was actually when they cut it. So rather than have that show on the legs, what I chose to do was I cut one leg off the left side, another leg off the right side, and then in the middle I'm cutting two other pieces. Alright, there you have it, folks. 8 pieces of legs on the left, 4 long pieces in the middle, 4 short pieces on the right, the supports for inside the box behind it, and a bunch of scrap wood, and a pile of sawdust. The long boards that will be sandwiched, more legs on top of the long boards, and the short boards on the outside of that structure sticking up. Okay, folks, that's a long side with 2 legs assembled. I'm gonna build another one of these, and then I'll join them together with the short side legs. Alright, folks, there's the assembled base, except for the tabletop. Okay, there you go, folks. I put the tabletop on basically by screwing it down and then cutting it in place. Not exactly the best way to do it. If you've got a better way to actually set the length of a board and cut it in place. I was using a miter box for all the lumber, but the miter box is not wide enough to fit the 5.5 inch stock in. The siding boards, the fence boards. So I can't do it in the miter box. I have to do it freehand, which presents its own set of problems. Alright, folks. Base is done. All the wood for the top has been cut, including the supports, which I have right over here. And so now I'm going to start assembling. I'm going to turn it on its side and start nailing on what probably would be best called skirt boards, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, folks, there you have it. The first level is now closed in. Okay, folks, I finally got the inner supports in. The key is to actually toe nail it in. So if you look down here, got caught on one of them. If you look down here, you can see a nail, and over there you'll see a nail. Alright, folks, I got a little excited and kept going before I stopped to do this. So there's one side all the way up, the rest of it's up 2 boards. So you start to get a sense of how deep this thing's going to be. One more little tip before I finish buttoning this up is I'm actually nailing these in at an angle. Don't know how well you can see that. Basically what it does is by nailing them in at an angle down, it forces the boards to kind of close up and make a seal so that you don't have too much water escaping out the sides or dirt. Alright, folks, that's got it. It's done. I just got to fill it with dirt and plant my squash, maybe some corn, maybe a couple of beans, do a 3 Sisters. Just to give you an idea, that's how deep that sucker is. Okay, now that we've seen how I built mine, feel free to ask me any questions before you start on yours. It'll help others with anything I've missed in the original video. Please consider giving me a thumbs up or down below, and if you like this video, please consider subscribing. If you want to see the original for a lot more detail, here are links for both parts as well as the project that preceded it. Thanks for watching and have a great day.